Hey Future House Cloud family, I'm musicbyLUKAS, producer and DJ and creator of the producer website teammbl.com. And today, for the 100K subscriber special, I'm going to be listening to your demos. I'm here in my travel studio because 2 years ago I decided to sell my place and everything I own and travel the world full time with Lauren Z. Ray, who's on camera right now. To catch all of our travels and our music production videos, you can head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Now let's get started. You guys submitted these to FHC and in no particular order. The first one is by K-Root.
Find these places, hold my hand and call out my name. We'll go to a land where our hearts can stay. I can see you falling, reaching for a grip. Come with me, I'm rising and I'll never let you slip. No, don't worry, my love. Look to the stars above. I've got you for now, and we are coming down. I'll take us from here, beyond the stratosphere. Embracing the sound, and we are coming down.
Super sick track, great way to start off this video. I think it sounds really professional so far. It's got a nice vocal, it's got a great melody, the arrangement is really nice. I think if anything, you could just try to pick up the energy on the second half of the drops by adding some more groove, some more percussion. I think that would take it over the top to the next level. Also, the mix just sounds a little bit closed off at points, like it almost sounds like you're listening to it through a radio or something, like it's could be a little bit more open, but be sure to comment below what you guys think. Great track.
We are burning the house down, can't stop, no turning back, no lights out, find around, K.O., straight for the knockout. We say, next day, after night till the morning, you and I crossing lines and wasting time. No heels, just feels, going and living out, find around, K.O., straight for the knockout. We are burning the house down, can't stop, no turning back, no lights out, find around, K.O., straight for the knockout.
It's a really cool remix so far. You did a great job. I think that the melody on the drop, the layers don't sound layered. It sounds kind of like one big layer. So what you want to do is you want to have a little bit more texture and like stereo imaging and make your main layer more in the center of the mix, but have your supporting layers wider, and I think you'll have a better overall balance. Also with the vocal, I think it's just a little bit too quiet. I would try to push it out a little bit more and maybe even add a little bit more reverb to it. I just think it could be more of the focus, especially on the breaks of the track. But overall, it's a super sick remix and the melody is really original. It kind of has like a stamped vibe, so good work. This is a really cool track. I think it's very aggressive. I think it could actually be even more aggressive. Like I think every 4 to 8 bars on the drop, you can make the sounds even more like growly or more like open up, more exciting, because it kind of just stays steady the whole time. And then your vocal, I feel like the vocal could be louder. It could, like especially on the build up right before the drop, it gets kind of quiet. And then the last thing I think you should maybe look at is the drums on the first part of the second break. You switch them up, but I'm not 100% sure if it works. But you know, if you feel like you want to go for it, then go for it. But overall, this track has a lot of potential, and I think you can make it really cool, and I think it will get signed and supported, so keep up the good work. This next one is by Finn Scholar. think it has a lot of potential to be even better, especially if you can bring in some kind of higher frequency melodic like top melody on the second half of the drop. Your second half of the drop kind of just stays the same with the bassy sound and the vocal, and you have like, I think, a little string in the background, but you could almost bring in like a Matt Nash kind of lead on top of this. Like it would be bum 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 bum, you know, dun 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 dun, or something like that in a higher octave would be really cool, something big, kind of like that horn kind of like hexagon kind of lead, or something else. But yeah, I think it has potential. The vocal's still definitely too quiet. It needs to be louder for sure, and your snare fill before the drop should be louder. And overall, besides that, I think it's a good track. So keep working on it. Make sure you guys comment below what you think of this one too.
Everybody wants to know the truth. In my arms is the only proof. I hid my heart behind the bedroom door, but now it's open, I can do no more. I'm telling you, baby, you will never find another girl in this heart of mine. Look into my eyes, can't you see that open wide? Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? Don't you know it's true? Girl, there's no one else but you. Would I lie to you, baby? Yeah, to you.
This one has a lot of potential to be signed. I think it sounds kind of like a Future House Cloud song, so it's a good track for sure. I think it just needs more. Like, it's so good, like the idea is so good, but it just isn't at its full potential yet. Like, it's like at 80% or 85%, but it needs to be at 100. So you want to bring out more percussion, especially like on that second half of the drop. You need that groove, like that really groovy kind of funky, get a top loop in there, get some, mess with the drums a little bit, like pull the kick out, and then just do like a boom, boom, like you gotta like really bring it alive more. And I've been saying this a lot with the last few tracks, but again with this one, the vocal could also be a little bit louder. I don't know what plugins you guys use to process your vocals. I use CLA Vocals by Waves. It works really well for this. Just pops the vocal out right in front. But yeah, also again, add more effects, transitional effects, reverse crashes, vocal impacts, vocal sweeps, just like little tonal effects, little things would just really bring this track alive. So it's going to be all about that ear candy and those extra little things, and I think this one could be cool.
I know who could lift me up. You came along.
Really cool track, very professional, very commercial. Maybe that's why you have the Universal Music Group picture as your picture. Not sure if you signed it or what the deal is, but yeah, it's really nice. And I think if anything, the mix just sounds a little bit thin at points. Like on the drop, it sounds like it lacks a little bit of depth. Like I almost want more like warm mids, more like warm low mids. And then the second break is really cool. I like the part with like the bell kind of chimes that you do at the beginning of the second break, and then you go back and pick up the energy, right after that, and then you move right into the build up in the second drop. So the arrangement's really good, the vocal's nice, the title of the track is nice. So overall, it's a really good song, great work. Looking forward to seeing if this one gets released or what the deal is with it. You can definitely, once it's done, submit it to teammbl Radio too. really cool track. I love the beginning of the second break. You have kind of like a Rugrats vibe with like the little bells and stuff like that. It sounds super cool, very unique. The vocal's great. I think the vocal just is a little bit too like kind of muddy, so maybe just too much wetness, too much reverb. It needs to kind of pop out more and not be so like drowned out in itself. If that makes sense, like, and especially like on the build-up, you start to lose the vocal, especially right before the drop. The melody overpowers and kind of takes over the vocal. So what you want is you want your vocal to be the main focus, even through the build-up. And then when your drop happens, that can be when the melody really takes the focus. So sometimes it can be helpful just to use like a little filter and filter off the high end, a little bit of the high end on the melody for the break, so that the vocal can be the star. And then when the drop starts, you can open up the melody and actually can have a really cool effect where the drop sounds really big when it hits, because it's like the first time that the melody's ever been fully open. So that can sound really cool. And then, yeah, like the percussion and everything on the drop, I feel like the lead could have one, on the drop could have one layer that's more in the center, because they're all kind of really wide. So it makes it sound a little bit hollow in the middle. But yeah, it's a really cool track, so I know you're gonna nail this one, and I think it's gonna do really well, so keep it up. Cool one. It definitely could use a vocal. I think that would be the thing that would take it to the next level. So I don't know if you have tried finding a vocal or not, but if you ever need help like finding vocals, you can search on YouTube, Music by Lucas, amazing vocals. I actually have a video about how I find my vocals, so maybe that will help you. But also your piano at times, like on the second break and the second build-up area, it gets a little bit loud, so maybe you can turn it down just a little bit, and then on the drop, some of your echoey piano on the stereo sides of the headphones is just a little bit too loud as well. But overall, it has a really nice vibe. But if you want to take it from being like a YouTube background track, like an instrumental, to being like an actual full song, it's going to be all about that vocal to get it to that point. So hopefully you can find a really cool vocal for this one and make it sound as amazing as it can be.
I've been waiting for you. Isn't that enough? I never wait for someone else but you to be loved. I've been thinking of you. Isn't that a love? I've tried to tell myself to stop. Guess it's not enough. I'm gonna let you look in my eyes as close as you want. I wanna feel your touch and my lips, don't care if I'm wrong. I've been waiting for you, for you. I've been waiting for you, for you. Don't carry my side. I want you tonight, tonight. I need you tonight. Oh, I need you tonight. I need you tonight.
I never wait for someone else but you to be loved.
All right, really cool one. I like the vibe, especially your cool piano skills. Like if that's really you playing the piano, like congrats. It's really nice. It's very interesting and unique. I think that with this one, it's going to be more about the mixing that's going to help you take it to its full potential. And I think in the beginning of the drop, maybe try not having the vocal. There's something special about letting the melody have its moment when the drop hits. It's different depending on the song, but like with this kind of track, you have the vocal basically the whole track. So there could be, you know, it'd be nice in a way to have a part of the track where there is no vocal. So the beginning of the drop could be really cool for that because you got these big chords and I think they carry a lot of energy and could fill it out a bit more. Also on your break, I feel like the vocal could still be a little bit louder, and then the piano melody could be a little bit wider, and I think that would make a more like full balance mix. But there's also just some other little things like your snare fill before the drop could be louder, so just like little mixing things that you could work on besides that. But yeah, I definitely like it. It's definitely funky and definitely has potential. Cool. Obviously, it's just the first half of the track. You can work on your second half of the track. I think the drop is the coolest part, but it still needs a little bit more development. It's a little bit underdeveloped right now. It could have more effects. It could have parts where the drums switch up. It could have more aggressive sounds. You know, there's a lot you could do with it. And right now it's kind of just like in the basic stages so far. But the idea is there, and that's what matters. But also the vocal, it needs to be maybe a different one because that vocal's been used a lot on Splice. Make sure when you're looking for vocals, if you use Splice, that you're sorting by recent and not popular. Because if you sort by popular, you're going to find vocals like this one that are used a lot. But if you use recent, it may take a little bit more digging, but it's newer stuff that not everyone has, you know, released just yet or have used yet. But also to switch up the vocals on Splice, you can pitch bend them because this one is the original pitch sound. So it just sounds very Splice. Whereas if you pitch bend it, maybe you chop it up a little bit, maybe you search for recent, that's how you make your Splice vocal sound unique and original. So just a thought there too. But yeah, I like this one. This next one is by Zicky G and it's called Far to the Sky.
Feel you drawn close to the sea. Let me on, give me some, then you can leave. But before the morning breaks, call me someone else's name. 'Cause it's time tomorrow. I'll hate me all the same. I can't be lonely when I'm not alone. Missing myself when there ain't no one home. Wish I believed that I just don't need no one else to feel this good.
Really cool. Again, I think that maybe the issue here is the vocal. It just kind of sounds too like, I think you're using the whole acapella. And one thing that might be cooler is just to find a catchy line from the vocal and just use that every once in a while, or loop it, or just use like a shorter phrase. I think it goes on too long and you don't really get to grab any specific lines from it that are that catchy. And also it sounds a little bit too raw. I think like it could be more, like I said, pitch bended or more affected, more interesting, because the track that you have is very interesting and unique, and you know, it has like a weird vibe, but the vocal's so straight up, you know, like it could be different. Maybe you just find a better vocal, but the vibe of the track is there. The drop is the coolest part. It needs more percussion, I think, and it also needs maybe some more aggressive sounds on parts, maybe some cool one-shots or some cool distorted sounds would be cool, more effects for sure, more sweeps, more you know, risers, vocal impacts, like tonal effects, little reverse crashes. Like it just needs to kind of just be more developed, but it's such a cool track and I think it has potential to get signed and supported for sure.
Baby, but only for tonight. I can rock your world, boy, I'll take you for a ride. You can call me baby, but only for tonight. I can rock your world, boy, I'll take you for a ride. Diamonds on the dash, I buy all my cars in cash. boy, I'll take you for a ride.
Super sick track. Simo Falk likes it too. Yeah, so I think the vibe is super cool. The beginning of the second break, I think you could add a 4 on the floor kick. Just keep it like maybe with no high frequencies, just poof, 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 just to keep that energy going. And then you can take it out before the build up and kind of like start the build up, you know, from like it is. But yeah, it's a really cool drop. The drop is really big, it's very powerful, it's unique. I think the second half of the drop could use just a little bit more development. It does kind of like simply just loop, but the piano sound you added is super cool. It's just not that full. Like I feel like it could be fuller, or maybe you could add more percussion. Like the percussion's a little bit small. Maybe you could just do a little bit more to bring that second half of the drop alive. I think if you can do that, and then like I said, keep a little bit of energy in the second break, this track is awesome.
Every time I speak, you have to look around. Gave you all these shots, but you just drink them down. It's written on your face, you're halfway out of town, but I still would wait here for you. You call me crazy. You said I let you down when you were the one who left me right here by your side. Cross my heart, hope to die, but I'm not taking half of you, not taking half of you.
So this one by Gallardo, I think that it kind of sounds, the beginning sounds kind of like Children of a Miracle or something by Don Diablo. It has kind of those kind of vibes, but I think that it just lacks a little bit too much energy in the beginning especially, and the break kind of goes on too long without any kind of energy coming in. But I think the drop is really cool, and I think if it was done kind of in the right way, it would be awesome. The vocal also gets a little bit too loud right after the first 8 bars of the first break and right after the first 8 bars of the second break. It's like the same thing each time. I think the vocal kind of, maybe it's got automated up or there's another layer or something, because it gets a little bit too loud from that point up until the build up for each break. But then the drop, yeah, like I feel like it could have more percussion, maybe even more bass, maybe just something to make it come alive a little bit more, because it just doesn't have, like, it's a relaxed track, it's a chill track, but it doesn't have enough to grab me quite yet. But it sounds very professional, and I think if it was done right, it definitely could.
You look so good, it's like you'll make believe. Yeah, you know you do. I hang on your shadow in the lights. You move like a vision in the night. Wanna be closer to your love. Wanna be closer to your everything. Wanna be closer to your love. Wanna be closer to your everything. Got me falling deeper and deeper and deeper, but it ain't deep enough. Got me falling deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, but it ain't deep enough.
This one is really cool. I think that the mix is just kind of squashed. I don't know if you guys can hear it too, but basically, like, it sounds kind of like overly compressed, or like it's all kind of just too, yeah, too much effects or something on the master channel or something, because it's not very open. It's not very, yeah, you don't hear it like if you compared this on headphones to a similar track on Spinnin' or on Future House Cloud, you might be able to hear the difference between the quality of the mix, because yeah, the volumes of everything sound fine. It's just, yeah, too squashed. But I think if you can fix that and you can open it up a little bit more and make it sound a little bit more full, I think this one's awesome because it really picks up the energy on the second half of the drop. It's great arrangement, and yeah, overall it's an amazing track. So keep it up.
You cannot show the leaves how to change or tell the plants to grow, and I'll never know why my heart chose you to fall for. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking time from me, but I don't believe it. This ain't how I thought things would go. Maybe we should leave it and go back. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking time from me.
This one's super sick. Kind of reminds me of Sagan. It has that vibe for sure, and it sounds similar quality, so great job. I think that the only thing that I would say about this track is if you listen to the build-up, you basically lose the vocal in the mix. Like the vocal just kind of gets overpowered, overtaken by the melody. So if you want to keep the vocal in there, which I think you should, you got to find a way to keep the vocal more present in the mix. But once the drop hits, it's over. It's such a good drop, such a cool vibe. Definitely something that I would support on teammbl radio. So really cool track, and yeah, excited for whenever this one gets released. Thank you so much for submitting your demos, and thank you Future House Cloud for having me. We're in Portugal right now, but we're headed to Spain next week, so make sure to head over to our YouTube channel to catch all of our latest travel videos, some music production videos, music videos, sound bank videos, and more. And if you ever want to work one-on-one together on your music, just click the link in my Instagram bio. So like this video, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'm sure I will see you guys soon. Bye.